Who are you? You don't know. Don't tell me Negro, that's nothing. What were you before the white man named you a Negro? And where were you? And what did you have? What was yours? What language did you speak then? What was your name? It couldn't have been Smith or Jones or Bunch or Powell. That wasn't your name. They don't have those kind of names where you and I came from. No, what was your name? And why don't you now know what your name was then? Where did it go? Where did you lose it? Who took it? And how did he take it? What tongue did you speak? How did the man take your tongue? Where is your history? How did the man wipe out your history? How did the man, what did the man do to make you as dumb? Who are you? You don't know. Don't tell me Negro, that's nothing. What were you before the white man named you a Negro? And where were you? And what did you have? What was yours?
Angkor Wat. It may be the most beautiful religious monument ever built, and the most mystifying. Completed in 1145, the crown jewel of the Khmer Empire was inexplicably deserted 2 centuries later. The remote location and the relentless Cambodian jungle hid all the region's temples for over 400 years. They were the stuff of legend until 1860, when a French naturalist named Henri Mouot came upon them by accident. When his report hit Paris, these temples became all the rage across Europe, with people talking wildly about a new lost world.
I imagine this is what it must have been like when Henri Mouot stumbled upon Angkor Wat. The jungle had reclaimed the stone temple. As you can see, the tree just digs its roots into any openings it can find and grasps onto the stone, creating a silent but deadly slow-motion wrestling match. And given time, the tree always wins and destroys its host. It's brutal, Yeah, beautiful.
Muot and other early European explorers didn't believe that ancestors of the natives they met could have constructed these fantastic temples. They credited an unknown race of master builders.
And where were you? And what did you have? What was yours?
Measure the real power of Angkor Wat.
Well, I've been coming here now since 1994. It's a long time. And you know, every time I come in, I see something new, something different. It's so varied, so complicated, so...
Virtually every surface in this temple is covered with exquisite carvings. Surprisingly, these stories come from a faith that originated in India, far across the sea.
Incredibly sophisticated, this carving. And they're telling stories from Hindu mythology up here.
But how does the Hindu faith arrive in Southeast Asia? Because we're 2,000 miles away from India.
Well, religion
It turns out the answer lies in the monsoon winds that carried seafaring Indian traders to the Mekong Delta. Marooned for months before they could ride the monsoons home again, they traveled upriver, passing their religion, art, and architecture onto the local people.
The religious community were trying to communicate with people who couldn't read. So they put these images and the stories on the wall so that the people could understand it.
What are some of the stories that are being told?
Well, this is very interesting. This is an image that you'll find on religious buildings around the world. It's the Last Judgment.
Now, I noticed that some of these guys have their faces carved out or destroyed.
This figure's particularly unpopular. He's the administrator who actually gives out the sentence. So he's the prison guard who says, "You're going to hell."
It's not looking too pleasant down there.
It's hell. There's 32 different types of hell as well.
So is that a superstitious thing over the years that people have come in and destroyed the faces of the demons?
That's the local people just saying, bad, bad, don't like him, bad, bad.
Simon tells me that these bas-relief carvings go on for more than half a mile. They're the longest continuous sculptures in the world. It's an awesome sight, but one that may not last. Simon takes me to see the two most exquisite carvings at Angkor Wat. After our successful experiment, he says I can now appreciate why the Angkorians labored so hard to fit their blocks perfectly.
Well, this place wasn't so much planned, carved, and assembled the way places are in Europe. This was planned, assembled, and then carved afterwards.
So essentially, we're walking inside of one giant sculpture.
Right, now have a look at this. This will give you an idea of what I'm talking about.
Ah, this is beautiful.
This, for me, is one of the most perfect pieces of carving in the temple.
It's absolutely beautiful. And you can actually see the fine seams where they've assembled it right here.
These are the joints. You see, she's not made of one single block. She's made of 4 different blocks.
How difficult is it to carve multiple blocks stacked on top of each other?
If these were just stacked together with a mortar joint, the way we do in Europe, you wouldn't be able to carve over it, because it would snap. The fact that they've made a perfect razor contact joint means that these 2 blocks act like one single block. And the pressure between these 2 blocks means that you can run your chisel over and you don't snap off the edge.
And I imagine you probably only get one shot because it's already built.
I can't imagine how scary it must have been to carve this. If you snap off that nose while you're carving, where do you go from there? And you've probably got one less stone carver, because I reckon the king would.
What's more, Simon tells me that every little detail in the temple contributes to an overarching cosmic plan. The Khmer regarded their rulers as gods on earth, and this temple was built to represent the Hindu universe in miniature. Its towers symbolized Mount Meru, the celestial home of the gods, and its huge moat, the vast cosmic oceans. But here on Earth, their universe ultimately came crashing down. What went wrong?
You don't know.
Internally, and they use the science. Oh yeah, they focus, oh your own people sold you into slavery. They focus on that. Slave master bought you from a black man. They made the black man beat you, according to their document, so that you wouldn't be mad at the slave master. You'd be mad at the man with the whip. They had a specific mode of beating slaves. They would have 2 blacks hold them in the front, 1 black hold them in the back, and another black beat him under the instructions of the white man. The slave who is receiving this beating is angry at the blacks who are beating him. This is reborn. This is what they did intentionally to make you hate each other, and this is reborn, and it's depicted here, the effects. These are not 2 gladiators. This is brother against brother in stone. Notice they look exactly alike. This is what the gods of Asia were telling you. The effects were brother against brother, which is in our culture. The white woman spying on the Negroes, working. There they are, they snitching on each other, they got fights with each other. That's the effect of slavery. They gambled with each other, stole each other's money, tried to take each other's money, became enemies of each other. That's the effects of slavery. Stealing from each other, which is endemic in our culture. One brother would get mad in stone. Here you see him solving the problem, killing you, cracking you on the head with a baseball bat in stone. The stone is screaming, telling you exactly the effects of slavery. Here we are in jail in Southeast Asia, in the city, in the jungle. We occupy the jails all over the country. We fill them up in stone. We started drinking, taking alcohol. These are the effects of slavery. And today you find us all over America doing what we have been doing for the last 400 years, begging for survival. This is the man who did it. He wears leopard skin from the Indus Valley because a leopard is the only animal that will attack a human being without provocation. The stone speaks without provocation. That's what this text. This is a wall carving showing you everything you just saw. Or almost everything. Bearing mute witness to the history of that people. And the Buddha who would appear in one of the 50 towers at that time, at the end of the cycle, at the end of the age, to confirm life after death and divine intervention. This is the way of the Africans of Asia. They let you do it, and then they show you in a book of stone what you did. This is the way of the gods. At the entrance, they show you the righteous God place in Africa thousands of years before it happened, carved in stone, bearing mute testimony to what really happened. Here is how the European artists of that time interpreted that event with his pen. The same event in the British Commonwealth, testifying to what they said that they did at that time to the black man. Here, the testimony from a rock in this hidden city tells exactly what happened, which was known by the gods. A testimony in silence from a stone, from a paper, in the British House of Commons. I just interpret what they said that they did with their pen. Here, the slaves are shuttled out in small boats to the mothership. The artist's depiction at that time with their pen interpreting what the mothership looked like. The ship that brought the slaves from Africa to America is now interpreted by the rock of Southeast Asia. This is from Barubador. The ship of salvation is the same ship that comes to pick up the slave, and the same ship that brought the slave into slavery, packed like sardines. Their hands bearing witness against them. See? They would shoot you running, they would shoot you on the ground and beat you, and they would stomp you at the same time. They would work your babies and your mama in the cotton fields for nothing. See? This is how they showed it in stone. The whole family on the plantation in this city in Southeast Asia. They would show the man taking the place of a mule, pulling the plow while his wife guides it. The man is pulling the plow, you see, and they would show you in stone the work that the entire family of the diaspora was forced to endure in this beast with two horns, North America and South America, primarily the United States of America, where this history is carved in this history of the country. It's inseparable. No free labor for 400 years in stone. The rock, the story in stone. The rock shall speak, yea, he shall make the rock speak. While you worked, you were beaten. While you played, you were beaten. You lived in fear. Here it is. Yea, the rock shall speak to them. The rock shall tell the story. Yeah, in silence, the rock screams out. Yeah, they hung us from trees. Who else has a history like this? And you want to call it a lie? You want to call the handwriting of God a lie? You didn't know, did you? Yes, you did. You tried to forget. Once again, this was a festive occasion. They would take pictures and show it to their babies and their family, how they killed the nigger for nothing and saved the cow. Even the governor would commend them in Augusta, Georgia for the lynching well done or the burning well done, teaching the niggers the fear that their forefathers put in the Constitution. They had to keep fear. Here's a Rodney King. 100 years ago. Here it is, kicking and stomping this black man to death, or damn near dead. This is what they did. And here's what they did the other day in L.A. It's the same people doing the same thing all the time. And here it is in stone, hollering at you. Yeah, he gonna make the stone speak. Understand the esoteric teachings, the secret teachings. They catch the slaves and they inflict the pain. They inflict the fear of God in them, which they refer to as the crucifixion. Fear is something you live with all the time. Once it's inflicted on you, and they made it their business to continue it. The crucifixion of the Christ. The infliction of pain, the suffering of the Christ. If you really want to know who these people were, here's what they ate. They ate the whole hog. As you see them putting the whole hog in the pot there, that means they ate hog maw, hog head, and hog jaw. They ate pig feet, pig ears, and pig knuckles, chitlins, fat back, ham hocks, pork chops, pork skins. They ate everything pork. They ate the whole hog. Who else fits this description? They even ate pork and beans. There's your beans. Pork and beans, y'all. Yeah. He shall make their hands testify against them. That's what they did. You're the only people on the planet who eat that much pig.
Along the way, I had a fascinating reminder of the connections that have linked countries around the Indian Ocean for hundreds of years. It's incredible. We just stopped to help a rickshaw that's got some sort of problem, and it's loaded with what appears to be black Africans. We're driving through rural India. These are the Siddi people, the descendants of black Africans, who live in communities close to the coast in this area and across India. Vikas and I went to meet a local leader.
Vikas, meet Simon.
Namaste.
Simon, Mohammed.
Namaste. Salam alaikum. Very nice to meet you, sir. Who are the Siddis? Who are the Siddi people?
The Siddis are descended from Africans who came to India. The Muslim princes brought us here from Africa. We have been in Gujarat for 600 years. They were brought here as slaves. They were brought here to work, because the Siddis are hard-working people.
Hello, ladies. Namaste. African ladies wearing saris. The movement of Africans to India has been little studied, but over centuries the Siddis have found their own place in Indian society. Mohammed is saying the communities live very harmoniously, and that's pretty unusual, frankly, in this country, which has suffered such caste and communal and religious conflicts over the generations. It's quite wonderful to hear him saying, no, we get along fine. it's the cutest scene. Mohammed took us to a local school, which was full of Siddi children. Namaste, salam alaikum. Do any of you know where Africa is? Could any of you come and point to where Africa is on the map? Come on, mate.
Africa kya hai map ko dekha nahi de.
Yay! Clap, everybody, come on. The children are kept in touch with their history.
After they came here as slaves, they were soon recognized as being very hard-working. They were particularly good at working with wood. They were spread right across India, but because of their skills in carpentry, they were brought to Gujarat. They came to Gujarat in 1411, so before 1411, we don't know much.
Merchants were trading huge distances across the Indian Ocean centuries before the Atlantic was explored and Columbus reached America. Yeah, and they weren't all just slaves as well. So many Africans came as sailors, as merchants, as traders, as soldiers, as warriors to India. It's still very hardly known about in India itself. But this is all about people travelling across the Indian Ocean. The ancestors of these little children here were blown across the Indian Ocean by the monsoon winds.
You don't know.
Many, many years ago. Some experts think millions of Africans travelled to India. Many were slaves, but they also came as merchants and warriors. There's even believed to have been an African king in central India. All around the Indian Ocean, cultures have mingled. Sometimes people travelled willingly, sometimes they were forced. The ancestors of the villagers here may well have been traded through the East African slave market I visited in Zanzibar on the first leg of my Indian Ocean journey. Centuries have passed since their ancestors arrived, but the Siddi still perform dances with African roots. This group appears at temples for money.
Anywhere in Africa. Locals celebrating with their centuries-old music and dance. But Jambur is 1,000,000 miles from the continent, and these apparent Africans are in fact Indians whose ancestors have lived here in Gujarat state for up to 1,000 years. Known as Siddis, this tribe of African descent retains few links with its mysterious past. They know nothing of how or why their forefathers came here, but there is one thing that ties them to their unique heritage.
In our musical performances, we are like one. We all have the same musical style. It's also the same when we dance.
Music and physical features are the few clues that anthropologists have to trace the Siddis. Some believe their forefathers were labourers from modern-day Kenya and Uganda, who were brought to India on Arab slave ships between the 10th and 14th century.
All the Arab traders or raiders, either had to bring a lot of these slaves, and at convenient places they were given their freedom on the nearest landmass scale.
Anthropologists believe there are up to 15,000 Siddis living along India's west coast. While they have adopted the local culture, most live in abject poverty, even compared to other Indians. Their reluctance to integrate with mainstream communities means they are often left out of development.
We have a lot to worry about. People in other villages live happy lives, but our people are miserable. So we do worry.
The government has given them special tribal status to guarantee Siddis access to jobs and education, but life is still hard.
Poison is slap all y'all niggas for coming to my face with that shit.
That night, I dreamt of a blind swordsman.
Poisonous paragraph, smash your phonograph in half and read the inspector deck on the warpath. First class, leaving mics with a cast, causing ruckus like the aftermath when guns blast. Run fast, here comes the verbal assaulter. Rhymes running wild like a child of the water. I score from the inner slums of raw.
He knows my every move, yet he cannot see. As my mind fights to make sense of the impossible, he has turned my sight into a liability. He has no just cause to want my life. There is no forethought, no logic in his actions. This isn't just any swordsman. This is the blind nigga samurai.